Hi, this is Sam Situation with your host, Sam Rosen. I'm speaking live from Sunnyside, Laguna Niguel, California, and last night, a 50-year-old man started his Major League Baseball comeback for the independent league team, the Sugarland Skeeters. If you're listening to this show, you know that the man I'm talking about is none other than future Hall of Famer Rocket Roger Clemens. And for those of you listeners who believe Roger Clemens is not a Hall of Famer, this show will analyze to see which opinion of the Rocket is true, as well as take a look at many more possible Hall of Fame candidates who took or allegedly took steroids. I'm going to take this time to introduce my special guest, Chris Sylvester. How's it going, Chris?
Hey, it's going good. Thanks for having me on the show, Sam.
Yeah, okay, let's take a look at Roger Clemens' stats for his career. 24 years pitching, that's a long time for really anyone, especially for a pitcher. 354 wins, 184 is his record. 3.12 ERA. He's won 7 Cy Youngs and 1 MVP, and he's led the league in ERA 7 times and wins 4 times, and he still denies taking steroids. What do you think about that?
I think that there's no doubt that he should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's a 7-time Cy Young Award winner, more than anybody, and probably more than anybody's ever going to get. You don't see, a Cy Young being won by the same guy that many times. I mean, you might see Justin Verlander end up 2 or 3, but that's about it. I mean, if you look at Roger Clemens' numbers, like you said, 354 and 184 record. He had over 4,000 strikeouts in his career and an ERA of 3.12. Even after the steroid era, which ended in 2003 supposedly, the guy still put up good numbers and led the Astros to the World Series with a 1.87 ERA in 2005. If you don't think Roger Clemens is a Hall of Famer, the guest who's listening right now, you have some problems. Roger Clemens is no doubt a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Do you think his decision to come back and pitch is right? I mean, he's kind of just doing this, I feel, to just give years back to his Hall of Fame resume, 5 more years to tack on there. That's my opinion. I think that's why he's coming back. Do you think it's right to just come back for that reason only?
Well, I don't think that, he's going to be in the league for 5 years, if that's what you're trying to say, but I think that, from my perspective, I think that he's doing it, for fun, like you said, but I think he's, in all seriousness, trying to make a comeback to the major leagues, and I would be very entertained to see Roger Clemens suit up one more time in a major league uniform, whether that's with the Astros or the Royals, who supposedly had interest in him. But, I'd love to see him come back and pitch for the Houston Astros, that's for sure.
Yeah, what do you think his stats would be like in September if he did come back this September?
What do you think? What would be like? Sorry, I had trouble hearing you.
Oh, sorry. What do you think his stats would be like if he came back this season?
Well, I saw that he pitched 3 in the 3rd scoreless innings yesterday while taking out a batter who was Joey Gathright, who I remember being a pretty good leadoff hitter about 3 or 4 years ago, which kind of was impressive. But, I mean, the dude's 50. He's going to be playing major league hitters who are looking to get into the playoffs here in September. You have 3 teams in that division, the Reds, Cardinals, and Pirates, are all vying for playoff spots, not to mention the other teams in the National League that the Astros will be facing during that time. So, I don't expect his stats to be anything like his career. I'd say maybe like a +4 ERA, maybe even in the 5s. I mean, I didn't really get to see how hard he was throwing the ball last night, but obviously he was effective. He didn't walk anybody. He gave up only 1 hit. But then again, those are independent league batters, and you're making a big step from going from the independent league to the major league, where hitters are trying to get their teams to the playoffs.
Okay, now this show isn't just about Roger Clemens. I got a bunch of other players lined up to talk to you about. Let's start with the main steroid guy, Barry Bonds. Let's rattle off some stats here. 762 home runs, 514 stolen bases, 298 batting average, a record 2,558 walks, 7 MVPs, and 14 All-Star games, plus that incredible 444 on-base percentage. What about his candidacy?
There's no doubt Barry Bonds should be a first ballot Hall of Famer as well. He's eligible for it next year, I believe. This upcoming winter will be the decision made, and I think it's going to be absolutely ridiculous if he's not in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, he had that spectacular record-breaking season in 2001 when he hit 73 home runs. But, I mean, this is another thing you look at. Everyone looks at the cutoff in 2003. there was not a huge drop-off in 2003 to 2004 for Barry Bonds. He was injured in 2005, but came back with solid 2006 and 2007 campaigns. He hit 26 home runs in 2006 and 28 home runs in 2007. People are going to say, oh, well, look, he hit 20 less home runs. Well, the dude was in his early 40s. I mean, you can't blame him. There's going to be a decline there. You see that with the best players in the game. You see Albert Pujols on a slight decline right now. You see Alex Rodriguez. It's not because of steroids, just because of age. You also look at the fact that in 2003, Barry Bonds hit 341 with 45 home runs and 90 RBIs. The next season, when you had to be clean, it was the end of the steroid era in 2003, you put up better numbers in 2004. He hit 45 home runs, 101 RBIs, and put together a 362 average. So I don't buy into the whole steroids make you so much better than you actually are. You can't get this guy off the street and put him in a batter's box, give him some steroids, and expect him to put up 73 home runs, 137 RBIs, and hit 328 like Barry Bonds did in 2001. There's no doubt in my mind that Barry Bonds deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and if the writers don't get it right this time around, they better get it right this second chance.
Oh yeah, I pretty much agree with that. Barry Bonds, one of, in my opinion, the best players ever. Probably, he should be in the Hall of Fame, obviously. If Barry Bonds doesn't take steroids, remains kind of like a 30-30 type player for his entire career, and doesn't post those ungodly home run and RBI and on-base percentage numbers, how do you think his career is remembered?
If he's like that, obviously he's not going to be remembered like the guy that he is now. You know, you either love or you hate Barry Bonds. For so many years, he was the best hitter and player in the game, and really, honestly, you look at his career numbers all time, he might be the best player of all time. You know, he has the home run record, the walk record, like you said, so many All-Star appearances, 7 MVPs, a plethora of Gold Gloves as well. You can't discount what this guy did from 1986 to 2007. He had a marvelous 21-year career, and you know, if he was a 30-30 guy throughout his career, I don't think there would be any doubt in my mind that he would have been Hall of Famer as well. You know, unfortunately for him, I was hoping to see him continue playing after 2007. He was so close to 3,000 hits for his career. He has 2,935. I mean, he's so close to 3,000. You know, that's usually the line, but obviously he's the home run king, he's the walk king, and he is the MVP king. So if he was a 30-30 guy and you know, had no scrutiny surrounding him, I think he still would be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with all the points you're making tonight. Just great points here. Now, there's another very controversial player here, Mark McGwire. His numbers aren't as great as Bonds is. Bonds, with all those stolen bases, his home runs, McGwire was really just a home run hitter. 583 home runs, 1,414 RBIs, a 588 slug, and 12 All-Star games. McGwire was really a one-dimensional player, and in an era fueled by steroids, which were considered to produce a lot of guys' power, do you think McGwire should get into the Hall of Fame as really just a pure home run hitter?
See, this is what I'm on the fence about. I mean, you look at his numbers, the 263 career average, you don't see many guys get in with the 263 average, but the big thing that stands out is those 583 career home runs. Obviously, he had those 2 seasons back-to-back in 97 and 98, which he hit 70 home runs and 58 home runs. You know, I mean, it's just, what he did was really impressive throughout his career. He brought back baseball, him and Sammy Sosa did. You know, you got to give him props for that. He is now a world champion as a hitting coach. I don't think, I'm leaning towards saying he's not in the Hall of Fame because he was a guy that fully came out and admitted to cheating, per se. He fully came out and he said, hey, I took steroids, you know. In his career, he never hit higher than 312. He's not really a guy that's going to impress you on the base pass or on defense as well. You know, I'm really on the fence about Mark McGwire. He's obviously not going to get in, but from a non-bias, not thinking about the steroids, I think I'd have to give him the nod just because of the 583 career home run. Yeah,
I agree with that. Do you think his saying he cheated, admitting it, which most people didn't have the guts to do, I actually really approved of that. I was really happy when he came out and did that. Do you think that actually hurt his Hall of Fame candidacy?
I honestly think it did nothing but just get that off of his chest. I think that either way he wasn't going to get in, and I think it was good for himself and for his family and for his fans and for the people of St. Louis and Oakland that he finally came out with it, and that there's no controversy over it anymore. So I don't think it really changed the way the writers and the people who make the decisions who gets in the Hall of Fame, look at Mark McGwire.
Okay, and then there's a player still playing today. His stats are about the greatest ever, just all around. I mean, Barry Bonds probably better, but this guy you always think of. I never even really think of him taking steroids until I see it somewhere. Oh yeah, this guy took steroids. Alex Rodriguez. This guy, a great defensive shortstop, a great defensive third baseman, could run, could hit, 644 home runs, 1,937 RBIs, 316 stolen bases, a 301 average, 14 All-Stars, and 3 MVPs. I think if he keeps on playing, he reaches 7 home runs, he's the greatest player ever, but do you think his steroids will ultimately keep him out of the Hall of Fame?
This is a tough one. Alex Rodriguez, he's one of those few players that had such a great career during the steroid era and has continued to have a great career after the steroid era. He had 57 home runs in Texas in 2002. That was obviously during the steroid era. The next closest he got was 48 in 05, well after the steroid era, a good full 2 years after it. And then he had 54 home runs in 2007. So I think Alex Rodriguez, in my mind, is a Hall of Famer if he keeps putting up even decent numbers for the rest of his career. He only had 16 home runs last year, 15 this year. He's been injured the last 2 years a lot, but he has a 301 career average. Like you said, the guy has 3 MVPs. I think I'd have to, give it to A-Rod for this one. I think I would put Alex Rodriguez in the Hall of Fame for sure. First ballot, I don't know if he's going to make it first ballot, but I think, in the end, I think Alex Rodriguez will get into the Hall of Fame.
If Alex Rodriguez does hit 700 home runs, is he remembered as the best player of the steroid era, or is it Barry Bonds?
Oh, no doubt Barry Bonds. You got to give the hand to Barry Bonds. You look at the stats, and the fact is that Alex Rodriguez is going to reach 3,000 hits, and that's going to be a little bit more impressive, but Barry Bonds, got walked so many times that he wasn't able to get to 3,000 hits. Barry Bonds was just ridiculous. The amount of times that he would be walked in a regular season. They even started a count at AT&T Park up in San Francisco. They had the little chickens on the wall every time he'd get walked. It was absolutely crazy how feared this guy was. I remember watching a game where Buck Showalter at the time was the manager of the Rangers, and they were facing the Giants, and it was like a 3-run Ranger lead, and Barry Bonds came up with the bases loaded, and they actually intentionally walked Barry Bonds with the bases loaded. I don't think I've ever seen that done to any other player before. Barry Bonds, in my mind, is and will be for the coming of years the best player to ever play the game.
Okay, let's take a look at a guy. I don't see how in the world this was really possible, but this guy got suspended multiple times for taking steroids. Suspend you once, fine. You took steroids, make amends for it, but get suspended multiple times? Manny Ramirez. This guy has very, very solid numbers. 555 home runs, 1,831 RBIs, a 312 average, 411 on base percentage, and 12 All-Star games. I'll always remember him as one of the most fun players ever to watch, but the steroids really dampen my opinion of him. Personally, I don't think he should make the Hall of Fame because he's a repeat offender. What's your opinion on this?
I think that I agree with you on that. Obviously, if you look at his numbers, 555 career home runs, a 312 average. The guy did it all. He was a 2-time World Series champion with the Red Sox. He led them there twice, had that one great half a season coming over to the Dodgers. But, the dude was busted 2 times after the steroid era for steroids. Like you said, multiple suspensions. Didn't still put up great numbers after the steroid era. Really didn't see too much of a drop-off until he got older and once again started taking steroids. I believe that was in 2009. Yeah, it was in 2009 when he, got busted, and then he got busted after only playing 5 games with the Tampa Bay Rays. But I think that if he wouldn't have been busted twice after the steroid era ended, I think he would be considered for the Hall of Fame. But, with things taken into account, it's really going to be a domino effect. If Barry Bonds gets in next year, you're going to see a lot of these people who have been under the influence for steroids probably get in as well. But it's all up to Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds is that huge domino. If Barry Bonds can get in, I think that opens the door for guys like Mark McGwire. Well, not Mark McGwire, but guys like Sammy Sosa or Manny Ramirez or Alex Rodriguez or Rafael Palmeiro.
All right, speaking of Sammy Sosa,